my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through eyes covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
Morning guys, afternoon, evening, whatever it is where you're at. Welcome to the review on the RCB R10x. We'll wait till we get past this lawnmower and then we'll start. Beautiful spring here in Iowa. Almost rolling into summer, I think, technically. And it is that time of year where it is the good time to have a scooter. Today we're on a scooter that I bet none of you have ever heard of. I had never heard of it before when they asked me if I would review it. And so I got this maybe 2.5, 3 months ago. I've actually had it for quite a bit. Ridden it now 200 miles. I do think this scooter has held up pretty well. And just checking all the bolts and stuff right before this, and it is a nice design from the standpoint that I think it's very low maintenance. You got the one disc brake in the rear, which isn't going to wear as quickly as if it was in the front. Plus you have a drum brake in the front. The braking on it, let's show you right now, can definitely slide out pretty easily there. You see locked up the tires, come to a complete stop there. Plenty of stopping on this. I think compared to some of the other entry-level scooters I have, it actually has some of the better stopping, at least brake wise. Obviously it has solid tires. If it had air tires, it could improve that braking a little bit. What this scooter has is a really nice all-around package. I think it's $4.99. I'll have to double check with the price. It's on Amazon, obviously. You get 30 days. You can get the scooter. If you don't like it, you can just return it. You know, there's a little bit more leeway with Amazon than there is with most high-end scooter retailers. You know, like you can't just buy a V-set and return it if you don't like it. That doesn't exactly work with any of the retailers that sell those. So that is the big advantage of buying a scooter like this if you're brand new, is that it's on Amazon. You can ride it for a month, and if you don't like it, you can return it and upgrade. You don't have to be stuck with the scooter on Amazon. Not that I'm saying you should do that. It just gives you a little bit more security as a buyer there to be sure that you're not going to get stuck with something that is either too powerful or not powerful enough, or whatever the situation is. This scooter is 18 mile an hour top speed. I pretty much only ride it in the S mode. That's the top gear. Let's check out the lower modes right now. Eco is looking like about 7 miles an hour. Looking at 12 miles an hour in drive, and pop it into sport, and you can get up to the 18. Now this thing has solid tires, but to balance that out, it has front and rear suspensions. This scooter is a lot smoother than it appears. Suspensions obviously help a lot with road imperfections and cracks and everything, and it's kind of rare to see a dual suspension scooter on such a low price point. The bell test. As with all solid tires, a little bit rougher ride than if it had air tires, but what that gives you is a lot less maintenance, and you don't have to buy an air pump if you don't have one and deal with pumping up the tires every couple days and checking them. And that means that it's just, if you have a lot going on in your life, you don't have time for that, but you want to ride a scooter, then solid tires are for you. Now obviously this is a new brand. I've never heard of RCB before this. You do need to be a little bit more careful. It's not like buying from an established brand where you know it's easy to get parts. Here comes hill test. We were in 15 with the Go tracks the other day on this. Looks like here we are 13, 12. So it is significantly slower than the Go tracks uphill, but I think it is $100 cheaper. So there is slightly more risk buying a scooter like this over something like a Go tracks or something that is, you know, reliably tried and true over the last several years already. This is obviously new, it's somewhat untested, So obviously it's just important for me to mention that in a review if a brand is new. For all you guys that don't know the different scooter brands or really their history so much, you may not even realize this is a brand new scooter from a little name brand. Just because I'm reviewing it doesn't mean that it's a great scooter, guys. You gotta let me do my thing, and by the time we get to these YouTube reviews, after I've ridden this scooter for a while, then I can kind of tell you my real opinion on it. But I know a lot of times people ask me questions while I'm still making the TikToks and the shorts before I've even got all the miles in, and it's a little bit harder for me to answer those questions with like all the knowledge that I need to make the best answer. It is important, I think, if you guys are looking at a scooter, to do your own research, obviously, and watch as many reviews as you can on the scooter that you want to buy, because different reviewers are going to notice different things. Maybe their unit will act a little differently than mine. Maybe they had some other problem that I didn't have, and so you should be aware of all these different issues before you buy the scooter. And so it does make something a little bit harder to buy a scooter like this, because I think I might be the only person with the review on this scooter by the time I release this. There's not a whole lot of other research you can do, which puts a lot more weight on my shoulders to decide whether this is a good buy or not. And honestly, the scooter itself is solid. The scooter's solid. It drives well. I've had no issues with it. Smooth.
Cruising for Camp
Thank you.
How long did you...
Perfect scooter for passing old ladies in the morning. Now that we know that we don't know a lot about this scooter, honestly, who made it, where it came from, beyond the fact that it obviously came from China like all scooters, the tires, motors, brakes, all this stuff is standard equipment on other scooters. So there's not a whole lot there to judge, as long as it runs well and it completes all the rides, doesn't die or overheat on me on a simple range test or something like that. Speaking of range, I've been getting about 15 miles range on this. That amount of range is pretty good. I remember on my first Xiaomi, cost similar price, I was only able to get like, 8 or 10 miles. And the ride's there, the quality's there. The solid tires are not rough enough that it ruins the scooter at all. I think that they're a good choice of solid tire. There's a lot of different solid tires even available these days that these brands can use, and it's important they pick one that still has enough road feel and softness that it's just not terrible to ride. And then the suspension on this, it's firm, but it's firm in a way that you enjoy, because it handles big bumps with ease. It does not bottom out. It doesn't have any sort of clanking or jankiness to it. In my opinion, it's pretty smooth. I've ridden some other solid tire suspension scooters, such as like the Evercross H5, that are just like super clanky, going over every single bump, simply because of how the tires and the suspension work together and just how loud it is. Like, clearly they spent a little more time working on the combination between the tires and the suspension on this to get something that rides well and it's quiet. The scooter is solid tires, but every bump you go over like this, these little bumps, right, it's like chicka 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 chicka. It's not good. You don't want a scooter that's just clanking over everything. You want something smooth like this, and I can't really complain about the smoothness of this at all. It's on point. It's about the best suspension, I think, for 500 bucks you'll find. The Go Tracks is close, but it does not have rear suspension. This, it's a good alternative, I think, to the Go Tracks. It corners well. Even though it has those solid tires, they're pretty grippy. They do corner all right. No problem with traction on this, which compared to the solid tires that are on like the VZ8 and the Synergy Aviator 2.0 I have, they're a little more slippery than this. These are pretty grippy for solid tires compared to what I have in my garage right now. This does come with some nice stuff here that I do want to mention. The grips are ergonomic style, which you don't find a lot on this cheap of scooters. They're definitely better. I love the ergonomic style way better than any of the round style. I have the ergonomic style on my V-sets and any of the fast scooters, pretty much just because it gives you a lot easier grip. You can grip the handlebar then with 1 or 2 fingers a lot easier when you're messing around with other stuff, right? And your bottom 2 fingers can still grip. Solid tires, great when you're passing through construction zone areas like this where there's probably nails and crap you're running over, glass, whatever. Solid tires for the win if they're good. Sometimes solid tires are so bad they make a scooter terrible, but this one is not that case, luckily. The solid tires are up to my standards as far as the ride quality, even just going on sidewalks and stuff like this. It's plenty smooth. There's no bumps that create sort of a clanking noise. Speaking of the fenders, all of that very, very well designed on this. They also have fender support in the rear, which we'll show right now. I haven't ridden this in the rain. I usually avoid riding in the rain at all costs, but if you did have to ride this in the rain, I think that the mud guards would do quite well at keeping you more dry. A lot of scooters these days just come out with mud guards that are about half the size they need to be in order to do the job, and so luckily these guys just off the bat built a good one. Good job, RCB. I think in general they've done a good job on this scooter, you know, but obviously branding and companies, it's not all about just the scooter, and they're gonna have a lot of work to do to build a brand and get a good reputation going, and that includes people buying this scooter other than me, right? People out there in the world buying the scooter and reviewing it and having a good ride. Like, obviously it takes more than just me, so but they're on the right path. I think they've got a good scooter going, and now they just need to get the word out and get some people trying it. I think for the price, it's solid. It's pretty quick. It's plenty of range. It's not necessarily high-tech or novel or groundbreaking in any way. I think honestly this is one of those companies that comes in and sees a lot of success in other scooter brands and sort of imitates and maybe puts their own spin on it a little bit with the screen and everything. At the end of the day, there's nothing new on this scooter. This is just a standard electric scooter with decent range and low maintenance. Nothing fancy about it. A lot of you guys should try this out. You just order it off of Amazon, see how good it is. If you don't like it, you just return it. It's not the end of the world compared to a lot of other brands where, like, if you buy a Segway 9-bot, if you buy the new 9-bot right now off Kickstarter or whatever, you're kind of stuck with it. You can't just return that. It's just not ideal as a consumer compared to something like this that's already on Amazon and there is no pre-order nonsense, and you can return it. Say 29 days later, you've ridden it the same amount as me, 200 miles, and you're like, it's decent, but I think I should invest a couple more $100, get a little more. Then you can do that. That's the advantage of the Amazon scooters. And I do have a whole list of Amazon scooters that I've tested already and ridden a lot, and I think there's a lot of scooters on that list now. So if you don't like this one, there is a lot of other Amazon scooters, so feel free to grab one, test it out, and if you don't like it, return it. You know, that is the beauty of the Amazon. You just return that if you don't like it. I'll also mention that they sent me a child scooter with this. I will talk about that a little bit when we get back to the garage. Very small, and so I can't even really ride it more than like a few feet, you know. Like, I could ride it to get the mail and back, but that's about it for that scooter. I can't really make a full honest review on something like that I can't ride. I do have that scooter, and we'll mention the specs and whatever here real quick. I can't really speak to the ride quality of it. I think this scooter rides fantastic for how it was designed for stuff like this, like a bike path, and it's very smooth. If you have smooth bike paths, this scooter will perform well. If you have really awful rough city streets, I still think this scooter will perform pretty well because of the suspension, and you won't get flats, at least from nails or whatever. People on commuters should really start considering solid tires, just so you avoid that one day where you get a flat and you're late to work. You know, like, all that could be avoided if you just had solid tires from the get-go. Railroad. Not bad over the railroad. Let's look at the Fender Sports I was talking about here. This thing has not been cleaned in 200 miles, but super sturdy fender here, and what that comes from is this. Fender Sports. So they've learned from other brands like Ninebot and whatever, and they know they need to have a strong enough fender. Welcome to the RCB R10x review. We've ridden it now 217.6 miles. The scooter comes with a proprietary all-in-one button cluster here, screen cluster. It has a single button in the middle that controls everything. Power button, right? Obviously, power it off, power it on. We'll see if we can see it in the broad daylight. It always opens into eco mode, so then you have to hit it once to go into drive, once to go into S. Has the miles as far as the odometer, meaning how far you've ridden the scooter total in its life. Battery bars, 5 bars, very simple there. Now, one thing you do notice right away on the scooter is it has a bit of these red accents. RCB here, red stripes, right? Red on the front, red on the sides, red on here, red logo, red. Obviously, it's a red and black scooter. I think it looks pretty darn good considering I haven't washed it in 2 months. Sleek. That's how I would describe this scooter. A very sleek design that a lot of scooters obviously don't have. A lot of scooters are coming out not the sleekest design because there's a lot of just hodgepodge parts put together, but obviously RCB designed this all from the ground up and to make this a sleek looking design here. I like it a lot. I do like the look of this scooter, the dash and everything. My favorite type of bell is these ones that are built into the brake like this. I've seen these before on a couple of e-moves I had. Very ergonomic, easy to get to. Obviously sounds very nice. Dual brakes with this, which is good. The right one is the front, that's going to be your drum brake. Rear one is your disc brake. Plenty of braking power to the point where you can easily lock the wheels up and come to a skid to a stop. Alright, so be careful with the brakes. They're definitely plenty strong. This is a thumb throttle. There is no kick to start. There's no sort of hesitation. It's smooth power delivery. Throttle's very smooth. Thumb throttles like these, they're nice and ergonomic. I think what this scooter might be missing is a cruise control, and it's probably somewhere in the settings I could find out and put some text over the screen right now and tell you if there is cruise control or not, and we'll go from there. The headlight, double click, turn that headlight on. It's definitely a usable headlight. I'm happy with the headlight. Now that we have the whole cockpit done, we can move down the stem. The stem is very sturdy feeling and it's not round. It is more of a hexagonal. I feel like it has 6 sides to it, which is a lot stronger than the circular one. I know I've talked about this in my last review on the Mantis King GT, that I do think that the hexagonal stems are a lot stronger than the circular stems, and so obviously this has that going for it. It's very strong, very sturdy. I don't have any sort of feeling when I'm riding it that there's any stem flex or any sort of movement to it, right? Like, it's just very, you can feel, you can't even hear a single creak. It doesn't move a millimeter, right? It is a good stem, very strong. The folding mechanism is equally good. I like it. I just tightened it this morning. You can do it really easy with an Allen wrench on this little bolt right here. You just tighten that, maybe a quarter turn, raises it up a little, and now it is super tight right there. Super tight. Moving down, you can see that they've got front forks on this, similar to my GoTrax G5 review I just released. This scooter has essentially the same front end on it here. Front forks are great for absorbing bumps and all that, but they also have longevity. These are just springs in here. There's not going to be any maintenance. That's big. That's big news that there is front forks. And then we have rear suspension. Let's just tip the scooter over and see if I can show you. Yep. Let's take a look. On the bottom there, you see dual springs in the rear. So that does give this a full suspension, right? And a full suspension obviously rides a lot better than the GoTrax G5 half suspension. It's still a little bit of bumps on something with only one suspension, but 2 suspensions That is when you really start talking about better ride quality, and you don't run into bumps and stuff as much that rattle your teeth and jar your brain. Rides pretty well for $500, and it's very, very hard to come up with a better scooter than this, I think. So if you want to try something new, maybe buy it on Amazon, test it out for a bit. If you don't like it, you return it. It's not a big deal. Let me know what you guys think about this scooter. I'd love to hear some other opinions if some other people rode it, and let me know what you think. The RCB R10x. Available on Amazon. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. We'll have some more reviews coming out soon, specifically on the Visa 10 Plus, Hero Rider the X, a Nan Robot N6, a Wolf Warrior, a Mantis Light, and several others that are also on the way. So stay tuned, and I hope you're ready. We've got a lot of fun stuff coming this summer. We're gonna be testing out every scooter we can, guys. Just thank you for watching. If you guys are out here supporting me, I love it. I love scooters. I hope you love scooters too. If you're brand new, drop a subscribe, drop a like, drop a comment. I will do my best to answer you guys questions about this or about any other scooter. For anybody in Iowa City, we officially decided the group rides are going to be the first Sunday of every month. But yeah, there's nothing particularly amazing or noteworthy about this scooter, I'll be honest with you. I can never turn down a new brand, and of course I want to test out a new scooter if the new brand comes out, just to see how these new brands are acting, both with me and with how the scooter acts. You know, it's important to test out all of it. Alright guys, RCB also requested that I review this little baby scooter, but obviously you look at the size difference, you look at me, right, it's clear that I can't really ride this thing, at least any notable distance. I don't want to test out this folding mechanism at my weight. I think obviously a kid has different wants and needs for their scooter than an adult, and most importantly, might be very cool LED breathing lights. Push brake on the back, accelerator here. Hit 4 miles an hour on eco mode. Let's push it up a mode. 6 miles an hour on N, 10 miles an hour on S. We give a little girl a little whirl. Why not? Let's get, oh yeah, it can handle me. This is about the most we're gonna do. I think it's meant for like a 50-pound kid. I do think we're gonna give this away to one of the local neighborhood kids here, and then maybe after a little while we will get a follow-up and see what they think of it, or see what their parents think of it or something, because obviously I need to do something with the scooter. I can't just put it in a review without really testing it. As for now, just know that this scooter does exist from the same brand. I will do something with it later. That's about all I know right now.